is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Breaking news. A decision on citizenship by the Privy Council. We have the details. Plus, the Chief Justice orders demolition of 2 shanty homes. And we are talking about the coronation of King Charles III, what it means and should mean to Bahamians. It's all straight ahead on a busy Thursday morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Thursday, May 4th, 2023. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Laverne Gardner will be joining us. And as we said, we have breaking news on the Privy Council and the ruling on citizenship. We're going to get to that immediately and in depth for you. Let's begin with the overnight. The latest breaking news from while we're sleeping and the top national and international headlines this morning. Overnight, as we said, breaking news on the council and the ruling on citizenship, the long-awaited ruling, and we're just going to give you the summary of it in depth in just a few minutes on the show. But as you can recall, this case involving some individuals seeking what the Constitution allows in terms of Article 6 and conferring citizenship on anyone born in the Bahamas if either of their parents is a Bahamian at the time of their birth. And in this matter, again, we'll get into the specifics in a bit, the Privy Council concluding, the Constitution of the Bahamas confers citizenship on a person born in the Bahamas who is the child of an unmarried woman who is not a citizen of the Bahamas that have been challenged in many circles. Some saying that a man who is not married could not pass on his citizenship to his child if the mother is not a citizen of the Bahamas, but the Privy Council concluding otherwise and dismissing the appeal of the government. We'll have the details on this coming up in just a few minutes. But again, breaking news from the Privy Council. More on that in just a moment. We'll get deep into the ruling thoroughly. In other news, Chief Justice Ian Winder ruling that only 2 structures built in defiance of a 2018 injunction that prevented the shanty towns on Abaco and New Providence be demolished within 45 days. The government asked the court for permission to demolish more than 300 buildings and structures in shanty towns in Abaco and New Providence that it said violated the injunction. The injunction was lifted in February. Sir Ian ruling, though, that standing the wide breadth of the injunction orders, it has to actually or otherwise lawfully come to the attention of the person alleged to be in breach to be actionable against them. He found that Rose St. Fleur and Aviol Francois Burroughs were aware of the order and willfully breached it by injunction. He said, quote, "There has been no evidential response to the allegations of breach by Rose St. Fleur and Aviol Francois Burroughs, or satisfied that the breach was willful." He ordered that only the offending structures of these two, built in defiance of the court's order, be removed within 45 days, failing which the respondents may have them removed at the expense of Rose St. Fleur and Aviol Francois Burroughs. Back in 2018, Supreme Court Justice Cheryl Grant Thompson granted the injunction that barred the demolition of shanty towns as well as the construction of new structures on New Providence and Abaco after 177 shantytown residents filed a judicial review of the Minutes Administration's plan to demolish shantytowns in the country. During submissions on April 3rd, Fred Smith KC, who represents the 177 residents, including St. Fleur, argued that the decision to demolish buildings lies in the hands of the minister responsible for building regulation and not the court. But Sir Ian ruled that where the order of the court is being openly flouted, the administration brought disrespect and disrepute. He said the court had an inherent jurisdiction to protect its process and that he was satisfied that the court is empowered to cause those applicants who've breached the order to remove the offending structures. Prime Minister Philip Davis rejecting a plea by a UN committee that the Bahamas halt deportations of Haitian migrants. The Prime Minister, who is in London for the coronation, saying, quote, "In our present situation, we respectfully reject the plea and we will do our part to protect our borders. We will continue to be humane and compassionate to the Haitian people. We have challenges in Haiti, but at this time we are unable to respond in the manner in which we're being called upon by the international community, when the international community themselves are not doing enough to help the situation." Well, on Friday, the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination raised concern over the treatment of Haitian migrants in the Americas, including the Bahamas, in reports of human rights violations and abuses against Haitian migrants. And the Gaming Board is proposing an amendment to the Gaming Act that would allow cabinet ministers, gaming board members, and their relatives to hold gaming operator licenses. Under Section 25, Part 1C of the Gaming Act, these groups are prohibited from holding licenses. According to Gaming Board Chief Counsel Crystal Knowles, they had challenges in practice with this particular section because essentially, quote, "it precludes any person who's trying to get in the gaming industry who is related to a cabinet member or member of the board from being licensed in that area." Political observers speculated that the rule prevented relatives of cabinet ministers from holding gaming operator licenses, most notably impacted Seabreeze MP and Ambassador to CARICOM Leslie Miller Bryce. Some believe that Miller Bryce was skipped over for a cabinet post because of her familial ties with the industry. Knowles said the gaming board made two suggestions of how the provision could be amended. They're saying either remove a member of cabinet from the list of persons currently disqualified from holding an employment license, or include language to the effect that the board may condone such disqualification if it is satisfied that no material conflict of interest will arise by such employment. Overseas from Serbia, police there urging citizens to lock up their guns after a 13-year-old boy used his father's guns in a shooting rampage that killed 8 of his fellow students at a school guard. sending shockwaves through the nation. Thousands of people in Belgrade, the capital, and other cities throughout the Balkan country lined up to lay flowers, light candles, and leave toys to commemorate the victims in the Central District in the capital Wednesday morning. Many people cried and hugged outside the school as they stood in front of heaps of flowers, small teddy bears, a gray and pink toy elephant, and a girl's ballet shoes hanging on a fence. Students from other Belgrade schools also came to the site in groups, standing in silence. Police say the teenager had planned the attack for images of classrooms and made lists of children he planned to kill. The boy, who had visited shooting ranges with his father, took 2 guns from his father's safe. Serbia is awash with weapons left over from the wars of the 1990s, but mass shootings still have been extremely rare. This is the first school shooting in Serbia's modern history. In sports, after a 3-year hiatus due to the threat of COVID, Samuel P. Haven Jr. National High School Soccer Championships are back and will be held in 5 match day windows between May 19th through 27th on Grand Bahama and New Providence. The announcement made yesterday. The tournament will be staged by the Ministry of Sports Unit in conjunction with the BFA, the Bahamas Football Association, the National Sports Secretariat, and the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture. The tournament will encompass 16 teams, 8 boys and 8 girls squads battling over the to be crowned the national champion in their respective divisions. There will be an MVP, Most Valuable Player, trophy awarded in both divisions. Senior Sports Officer of the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, Evan Wisdom, speaking about the event yesterday, thanking the BFA for their support in ensuring that the tournament returned. You can read more about this in today's Guardian Sports section. From the NBA, the Boston Celtics had been angry after Game 1 in their semifinal in the Eastern Conference the Celtics getting revenge on the Philadelphia 76ers with a 121-87 win, spoiling Joel Embiid, the new MVP, and his return to the court after an absence. Series now even at 1 apiece. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, we've got a moisture-starved frontal boundary that's going to sag southwards through the northwest Bahamas today and with little fanfare. Meanwhile, moisture streaming across the central and southeast Bahamas, along with a surface trough across the area, will keep skies cloudy and showers and thunderstorm chances elevated across the central and southeastern islands. Boaters should be alert, though, for the slight chance of waterspout and funnel cloud activity, mainly in the central and southeast Bahamas. Today, for the northwestern islands, look for partly sunny and warm conditions with a chance of a few isolated showers, becoming fair and mild tonight. Winds east to southeast at 10 knots, falling light and variable at times, seas 1 to 3 feet. For the central and southeast Bahamas, partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy and warm with a few isolated showers or thunderstorms. Again, gusty winds and higher seas expected in showers and thunderstorms. Winds northeast to east at 10 knots, falling light and variable at times, seas 1 to 3 feet. Temperatures getting up to around 85 Fahrenheit, overnight lows tonight getting down to about 71 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. You are listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories, including that breaking news, the ruling from the Privy Council on citizenship. You don't want to miss it. This is Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
You could win your share of $1,000 and free annual memberships when you apply for your Mobile Assist Visa Travel Rewards Card. It's a prepaid Visa that gives you access to travel and online shopping deals worldwide every single day. Enter automatically when you successfully apply through our Mobile Assist app. Use your prepaid Visa 5 times or more, and you are automatically entered to win your share of $1,000. See our social media pages for more details. Apply, save, and win with Mobile Assist.
The Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center is here to help small businesses throughout the entire Bahamas. To better serve you, we've made it easier to contact us. Call 461-7232, WhatsApp 359-0626 or 359-2394, email helpdesk@spdcbahamas.com, or submit a ticket when you visit our help center at accessaccelerator.org. The Access Accelerator, empowering small business.
Shopping is so rewarding with my Fidelity credit card. I get the best prices with price protection. Earn and redeem freedom points at my favorite stores. Get cash back. Plus, I booked a cruise. Get your Fidelity credit card today. Call 356-7764.
The third annual Ackland's Cascarilla Heritage Festival, June 8th to the 11th. Come celebrate down home style during 3 days packed with activities. Hear native stories and songs as we kick off opening night at the King Eric Regatta Park. Ackland's and its rich history, family roots, and natural resources, all while sightseeing. Taste island cuisine and enjoy cultural activities every night on the Regatta Park grounds. We've got bark beating contests, quadrille dancing, cascarilla racing, and activities for the kids. Music performances by Ebony 242, the Magical Beat Band, Bloody, Shine, and Sugar, and other special guests. The third annual Ackland's Cascarilla Heritage Festival, June 8th to the 11th, down in Spring Point, Acklands. Book your seats now by calling Bahamas Air. See you there. This ad has been sponsored by Screws and Fasteners World.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Start of the new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas, Channel 969, and BTC Flow, Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC, 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. And I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Laverne Gardner. Laverne, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great to have you with us as always.
Good to hear your voice.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Great to be back. All right.
Yeah, great to have you back.
We have a lot to get to this morning, and
yes, we do.
Very interesting with time. For our discussion today, the main discussion will be about the coronation and some different views on.
Is that a thing? Is that even a thing, though, Dwight?
Which part? The coronation?
Coronation.
Oh, it's a thing. Should it be a thing? That's a question that may come up in our discussion.
Is it really a thing that we even need to discuss?
Yes, because should we have a foreign king of the Bahamas? That is the most important question at this time, right? Right? Should there be a king, first of all, and should the king be from a different country? And would that country want to have a foreign king? We know the answer to that. They've had probably countless wars over that. But anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit. But we have breaking news. We've been telling you a ruling from the Privy Council, waiting for, it seems, forever for a ruling on this, and we're going to get into that right now. Let's begin with what's in the news. All right, so this is just coming down. We're just getting this out of London, and so the reaction is coming in. The government has just issued a statement on this, but to summarize it in total, just right, the quick summary is, the cliff notes here. The Privy Council has ruled that the Bahamas Constitution does indeed confer citizenship at birth on children born of Bahamian men and foreign women out of wedlock, right? Get to Article 6 in a bit and what this case stems from and the interpretations we've had, and we've not been able to come to an agreement on this, on what it means. People saying that it implies, based on some other articles in the Constitution, Article 6 implies that you'd have to be married unless you are an unmarried Bahamian woman. You'd have to be a married man in order to pass on citizenship to your child. But if you're a Bahamian man with a woman who is not a Bahamian and you have a child here, some have interpreted that to mean that that child is not a citizen until age 18 when they can apply, or until you adopt your child. But the Privy Council disagreeing with that and basically agreeing with what Ian Winder said years ago in the Supreme Court. So we're going to get into all of this. Let's get to the statement from the government, and then we're going to read the Privy. It's a lot. The Privy Council's ruling, though. All right, so this is the statement from the Office of the Prime Minister, just getting this moments ago. In light of the Privy Council's recent decision to uphold the landmark judgment made by Supreme Court Chief Justice Ian Winder in 2020, in the case of Shannon Tirek, Roll, and 4 others. This is a statement from Clint Watson, the press secretary. I would like to express my support and commitment to ensuring that our country's laws and policies are fair and just for all Bahamians. This ruling affirms that children born out of wedlock in the Bahamas to biological Bahamian fathers and foreign mothers are citizens of the Bahamas at birth and do not have to wait until 18 years old to apply for citizenship. Let's read that again so everybody understands. And hopefully this will be the end of this forever and forever. The Prime Minister is saying, I would like to express my support and commitment to ensuring that our country's laws and policies are fair and just for all Bahamians. This ruling affirms that children born out of wedlock in the Bahamas to biological Bahamian fathers and foreign mothers are citizens of the Bahamas at birth and do not have to wait until 18 years old to apply for citizenship. The Privy Council's decision marks an important step towards ensuring equal citizenship rights for all children, irrespective of their parents' marital status. It's expected to impact the lives of many individuals in our nation positively. As dedicated to building a more inclusive and equitable Bahamas, my government will work diligently to implement the Privy Council's decision and review the existing citizenship legislation to align with this new development. Together, let us strive to create a Bahamas that embraces the principles of equality, justice, and unity, where each person's rights are respected and protected under the law. Boy, this is quite a day in the Bahamas. All right, so if you have any questions right now before we get into this is a lot to get through with the ruling, but let's talk about it. It's pretty simple, right? I mean, you've read it, Laverne, and I've read it. It says, right, very clearly, if either of your parents is Bahamian at birth, that you're born in the Bahamas, that you are a citizen of the Bahamas. But Many have been trying to tie that up and have been successfully doing that for a very long time in this country. And thank goodness for this challenge. And now the Privy Council once and for all. So quickly get your reactions in before we get into what the Privy Council is saying. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Laverne, any early reaction before we get into it?
No, no, not at all.
Okay. Well, there you go. Are you pleased, at least? Not pleased?
I am pleased for Bahamian men and children who have, been disenfranchised over the years, not being able to pass on citizenship to their children. I guess I'm a little salty because,
No, what?
women don't have that same women who are married to men who are not Bahamians don't have that same right. So
if they're not born in the Bahamas, and
right.
Right. So issue for Bahamian men who have children abroad who are not married.
No.
For right, because they will still have this issue until we.
They'll still have this issue. So I guess we could look at it as baby steps, maybe.
Well, it's a big step.
Yeah.
A giant step, and but we still have a ways to go for true equality when it comes to citizenship. But it's a very big step. Because if you're born here, you're born here, right?
Right. And so honestly, though, I really am happy because I know, that there are men, Bahamian men out there who've been just really petitioning the courts and frustrated that they have to turn around and adopt their own children. And so this is a celebratory moment for them.
Okay, let's get this call in and then we'll get to what the Privy Council saying. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
Wonderful. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very, very, pleased with the ruling. It's about time that we got this nonsense cleared up. But what I found in 2023, with the amount of learned men sitting in the House of Assembly,
right,
and the amount of learned men sitting on the bench in the courts, that the Bahamas still has to go all the way to England to have a couple of old white men dictate to us what our law says. This is just hilarious.
Not certain of their ages at the moment, but okay, generally older. But sure. Well, hey, that's what the Constitution calls for. That's what we've decided that we want to do, to have the highest court be there, just like our king. So, well, But I hear you. I totally agree. And actually, that's one of the simplest articles in the whole Constitution. Exactly. I don't understand how this could have caused so much confusion. It really has been baffling.
But again, nonetheless, baby steps. We seem to be moving in the right direction. Sadly, though, because of this waiting for these old dudes to tell us what to do, it seems as though it's going to take even longer. But
I hear you. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's take this one call, and then we're going to get into it. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight, and good morning, Laverne.
Hi.
Yeah, I think it's a great ruling for Bahamian fathers. I support that, Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an advocate for children born out of wedlock for many years. But I believe, though, that...
We know what you mean, yes. Mm-hmm.
I believe that our local law now, in respect to this ruling, has to include where paternity, once paternity has been established. What do you think about that?
Has to include what, sorry?
Paternity has to be established first.
I'm sure that would be a requirement, yeah.
And, once, you just can't come and say, I'm the father, and I think that's where DNA comes in. And I'll have no issue with that once a Bahamian father is involved and paternity has been established. first.
Well, of course. I mean, that would be
Yeah, because a father, a Bahamian father, a married Bahamian father can automatically pass on citizenship because once you're married, you presume to be the father. But in cases of children born out of wedlock, I believe that it has to include some form of paternity testing.
Well, some would say even if you're married, you might want to do that. But I hear you.
But I wouldn't want to go there.
Oh well,
you do it at your own risk.
So I think that's for everybody.
But in case of fathers being born out of wedlock, once DNA test has been established that you are definitely the father, then you should be allowed, to pass on citizenship.
So what if the father? I mean, you're trying to say it should be mandatory?
I mean, for children born out of wedlock, how else would you establish whether I'm the father? Okay. How else would I be able to start? I can't just go to court and say I'm the father. Right now, in cases of maintenance, paternity has to be established in our local law. So I believe that should be it should be no exception in this particular ruling.
Okay. I hear you. That's very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, if you, I could see that being challenged too, right? If the married father,
I can't see it. I can't see it being challenged
because it's discriminatory in a way. Because if the married father doesn't have to prove paternity, but it is a requirement of the unmarried father. I mean, you might just truly trust this person and know for certain that this is your son. I mean, you're going to have to go and pay for the test. You're going to have to do that.
Right now, DNA in our courts, when you're seeking maintenance, paternity has to be established.
Yeah,
that's already law in the child in our family courts.
And that's a bit different.
Well, I don't know if it's law, but I know it's a requirement in the magistrate court in cases of maintenance.
Okay.
You have to establish paternity.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, I'm sure it's going to come up. Like I say, thank you. Appreciate that, Cleaver. Right? Lawyers will say that's not quite. Hey, if I think it should be optional if you want to know for sure. If that's up to you. I don't know how you feel about it, Laverne. Should it be a requirement?
You mean just across the board?
For unmarried fathers?
Sure.
If the mother is not a Bahamian. That sounds, you're looking for trouble. You're getting now back to discrimination and stuff like that. And to some, it won't seem like that.
That's why I said it across the board.
Yeah, because that's...
Because then why are you doing it in this? Well, I mean, and we know why, what the thought behind it would be. Mm-hmm. But, so others would say, well, there are instances within a marriage where the paternity is in question. So,
yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Here is what they're saying. This is really fascinating. There's a lot here. So I'm going to try to get to the key points. As you know, the issue here, and Article 6 says every person born in the Bahamas after the 9th of July, 1973. Shall become a citizen of the Bahamas at the date of his birth, if at that date either of his parents is a citizen of the Bahamas. Right? So, with this case, this particular case here, this is what the Privy Council wrote about the background. The issue is in the present proceedings, namely whether the Bahamas-born child of an unmarried non-citizen mother and a citizen father is a citizen, arose for consideration in K versus Minister of Foreign Affairs. Sitting at the first instance, held that such a child, this is Chief Justice Burton Hall, held that such a child was not a citizen of the Bahamas. The Chief Justice considered that the only possible interpretation of the word parents in Article 6 was the ordinary grammatical meaning of father or mother. He was not persuaded by the absence of parents anywhere else in Chapter 2, which concerns persons born in the Bahamas, neither of whose parents is a citizen, and that had any significance other than the economical use of language by the draftsman of the Constitution. The Chief Justice was unable to see how any other interpretation of the word parent was possible, and so this is going back a bit. Right? And the Privy Council writes, this considered in the report of the Constitutional Commission into a review of the Bahamas Constitution. The questions referred to the Commission included the strengthening of the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual with a particular focus on citizenship provisions. And that in their report, the commissioners made this statement. So they really go in depth. The Privy Council, right? They're saying here that the Commission stated, the Commission is of the view that this provision is not discriminatory. It adopts a hybrid position between acquisition of citizenship based on birth in territory and descent, and the combination of each grants automatic entitlement at birth, however, seems to have been susceptible to an interpretation that is discriminatory in its effects. So going back again, they're laying the foundation for what they rule here. And it points to the recommendations that the Constitutional Commission made as well. Now, so getting to their ruling, the present proceedings. So in the present proceedings, at first instance, talking about Justice Winder, declined to follow the decision of Chief Justice Hall and considered that the use of parents in Article 6 was not an economy of drafting, but the intentional use of different words intended to convey a different meaning. Namely, quote, the biological father or mother of the child, and unaffected by the artificial construct envisioned by Arlene. In his view, it was ultimately not a question of counting words, but of meaning. The interpretation favored by, in that case, did not account for the deliberate shift in language and ignored the presumption that different words in a legislative enactment carry different meanings. So he considered that father is used in the Constitution in its common law meaning of a legal and not putative father, and that this must explain why it is not possible for the drafters of the Constitution to use father and mother in Article 6 in place of parents. And that Parliament must have intended parents in Article 6 to have the ordinary grammatical meaning of biological parents. Justice Winder adopted the views of the Constitutional Commission that absurd consequences would result from the restrictive interpretation contended for by the Attorney General. All right. And yes, there's a lot more about how it went to the Court of Appeal and all of that and all of that and all of that. So, this part here. Their interpretation of Article 6. If one takes as a starting point the natural meaning of Article 6, it appears to be an uncomplicated provision expressed in wide and generous terms. At first sight, it appears to confer citizenship of the Bahamas at birth on every person in the Bahamas after the 9th of July, 1973, if at that date of the person's birth either of his parents is a citizen of the Bahamas. Furthermore, in a straightforward reading, the reference to parents would seem to refer to the person's biological parents. The provision addresses a person's status at birth. At that time, there can only be biological parents. At that time, there can be no adoptive parents or psychological parents. If, as the Attorney General contends, the Constitution does not confer citizenship of the Bahamas at birth on a person born in the Bahamas who is the child of one, an unmarried woman who is not a citizen of the Bahamas, and two, a man who is, the Attorney General has to read down on his behalf. Thomas Rowe KC seeks to do this by three different routes. First, he submits that as a matter of ordinary construction, a strong and long-established presumption that common law requires the words of Article 6 to be read down so that the reference to parents is a reference to legitimate parents. Secondly, it submits that Article 14, Section 1 of the Constitution qualifies the reference to parents in Article 6, and thirdly, relies on the subsequent legislation of the same to clarify any ambiguity. And we've heard that over and over and over. But they go on to say, both in his written case and in his opening of the appeal, Mr. Rowe placed at the forefront of his case a submission that the meaning to be given to the critical words in Article 6, either of his parents, is either his mother or his father, but in the latter case only if he was married to the mother. This, he submits, is the right meaning as a matter of ordinary construction. He relies on the presumption at common law that references in legislation to a child must be taken to references to a legitimate child. And by the same token, references to parents must be taken to refer to parents who are married to each other. It became apparent at the hearing of the appeal, though, that this submission is not without its difficulties. If it was the intention that Article 6 would only apply to legitimate person and to parents who are married, certain consequences would follow. Take the case of an illegitimate child born in the Bahamas after 9th of July 1973 to a mother and father, both of whom are on this proposed reading. Any illegitimate child in the Bahamas after 9th July 1973 would not be a person within Article 6, nor would his biological parents be parents within Article 6. Article 6 could not, as a result, have any application to such a child. Not only would this be inconsistent with the reading proposed by the Attorney General, which is that an illegitimate child born in the Bahamas of a Bahamian mother and a non-Bahamian father would have Bahamian citizenship by virtue of Article 6, but would also have the drastic consequence that no illegitimate child in the Bahamas of Bahamian parents would have Bahamian citizenship by virtue of Article 6. I'm reading it quickly, but I hope you all are getting what they're saying there and the inconsistencies of what has been argued over the years in this place. So I want to get to specifically where they get give their ruling here. So, first, it has been the intention to exclude from Bahamian citizenship a child born in the Bahamas whose Bahamian father was not married to the child's Bahamian mother. It would have been easy to have said so expressly as opposed to employing such a convoluted approach. Boy. Yes, indeed. Moreover, if it had been intended to achieve that result by the modification of Article 6, it could have been achieved with much greater clarity by expressly referring to the child's father in Article 6, by including a provision which expressly qualified the reference to parents in Article 6. The suggested reading contended for by the Attorney General is cumbersome and faintly absurd. If parents in Article 6 is to be read as father and mother, or the Attorney General's submission from Article 14, Section 1 would then qualify it so that it be referred to as mother and mother. Secondly, contrary to the suggestion of Chief Justice Hall, the use of the words either of his parents in Article 6 cannot be explained as a simple economical use of language by the draftsman of the Constitution. No economy is achieved by suggested substitution of either of his parents or his mother and father. Thirdly, while Article 14, Section 1 makes perfect sense in its application to the references to father in Articles 3, Section 2, and 8, as we've seen, its application to the other references to parents in Chapter 2 is problematic. Article 5, Section 6 deals with who may make an application for registration as a citizen, and it goes on. And fourthly, the presumption that where different words are used in a legislative business context and is not rebutted, different words or phrases are used to denote a different meaning unless the context otherwise requires. As Justice Winder observed in his judgment at first instance in the present case, the drafters of the Constitution cannot be presumed to have indulged in elegant variation, but must be taken to have kept to the use of the word father when wishing to convey the meaning imposed by Article 14, Section 1. And then one final point here. Fifthly, the board considers that there is a sound explanation for the use in Article 6 of the term parents as opposed to father and mother. It is, however, not one which assists the Attorney General's case. In Chapter 2, father is used in a very specific sense. It is given a narrow technical meaning. The effect of Article 14, Section 1 is to limit father to a biological father who is married to the child's mother. However, the use of the word parents in Article 6 discloses an intention to convey a different meaning. The intention was not to refer to the child's mother and his father in this narrow sense, but to the child's parents in the biological sense of the term. The legislation having established the word father as a term of art, the word could use when it was intended to convey a more general meaning. This is sufficient to dispose of the submission on behalf of the Attorney General. However, the board also notes that the effect of the submission would be to read into Article 6 a discriminatory approach founded on the illegitimacy of the child and on which of its parents as a Bahamian citizen, thereby discriminating between the father and the mother. As has been shown, there is no requirement to adopt such a discriminatory reading. Okay, I lost my place there. Give me 1 second, sorry. Yikes. Discriminatory reading of the provision, however, the board can see no possible justification for reading into the Constitution such an approach, reflecting, as it does, values which have long been rejected. Bahamian citizenship is an important and fundamental right, and the provisions governing entitlement to citizenship are rightly entrenched in the Constitution. In particular, Bahamian citizenship confers freedom of movement and access to the Bahamas. In the board's view, there can be no justification for introducing restrictions on entitlement to this right of citizenship by reference to such arbitrary and discriminatory considerations when there is no requirement to do so. All right. I know that was a lot, folks. I hope you were paying attention and got the gist of that there. But I know a caller earlier said old guys in England, but this is some very, very well thought out submissions here by the Privy Council addressing many, many issues. And we've heard these arguments for as long as we've been on the air, 11 years now. People have been bringing this up, and we've been going back and forth on it. But the law lords, as they're known, have interpreted it in this way, and this is going to be a big game changer for a lot of people. Let's get back to your reactions to this before we need to take a break here. We've got a lot of callers holding in, messages coming through. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Yes. I'm so disappointed this morning with men around this country. We finally have a little victory on our side, and we're going to have a caller trying to discriminate again, calling and talking about DNA. The fact is, here's an illegitimate child. A child whose father, who knows he's the father and refuses to take care of that child. Okay? And this is what the Privy Council is talking about. If I'm a father and I was there from day one, okay, and I'm a Bahamian, and my kids are for a foreigner, right, and they were born in the Bahamas, they are by right Bahamian. So who's going to tell me I have to take a DNA or this or that or whatever for my children? I mean, I have no problem doing it, but you just put in more red tape and a slap in the face. Why is it so hard and so how many married people I know, okay? Inside the marriage, the children were born in the marriage and they're not the father's children, okay? It's a stupidness. I could see, and I agree to a point, that if there's a woman out there who is a foreigner and her children for a Bahamian man, and the man refuses to take care of the children and refuse to be there as a father, then the court can say, look here, we need a DNA to prove that this is the father, and this father has to be charged and has to take care of these children.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if I'm going to come before the court and take it, before I'm God, I take it, oh, this is my child. And I know this is my child from day one I was there. Who are you to tell me take a DNA?
Yeah. Let's not get too hung up on that. That was just his opinion, and I believe it should be up to the father to decide if they want to.
Yeah.
But we also need men to be responsible, right? So do some things so that you don't get people you might not want to father a child with pregnant. Yeah. How about that? So you don't get yourself in any situation that will be uncomfortable for you. But that should be an option. That's my opinion, and clearly that's your opinion. It shouldn't be mandatory, and it would be discriminatory.
It would be discriminatory, yes. And the Privy Council will rule on that too. Now, it should be an option because there are some fathers out there who don't want to be alive with their children. I mean, some lousy Bahamian fathers are out there who been getting away with murder for all these years, and now the Privy Council has ruled women now. This is a win for women too.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's not put more red tape inside it. Do what we have to do, and guess what? Watch the crime rate. These children are now going to be a part of the society. Are now going to feel as if they are part of something. Okay, and they're going to contribute.
Okay.
You know how many children will look upon as less of that? My children can't right now get a national insurance card, can't get a passport, and born in Princess Margaret Hospital, signed for and everything and delivered.
Okay.
I've been fighting. So it's wrong to call and try to put more red tape and guess what?
Yeah.
Come on,
let's just celebrate this victory now. Let's not get caught up in that. But you're saying that the crime rate will likely go down? That's bold.
Of course.
Oh, boy.
Right now in this country, we have a lot of children who are illegitimate. Who they call it illegitimate. who can't get a passport, who feel as if, guess what, they are in here or there. And they acting out. They are acting out. So from here on in, the children who are going to be born in this country, who know they belong, they're going to feel a sense of commitment to this country. They're going to give more.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you very much, caller. Really appreciate it. Hope everything works out for you. Let's take this call, and then we've got more breaking news. The Attorney General's office issuing a statement. We'll get to that in a second. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, guys. How are you all this morning?
Doing well.
I congratulate the Privy Council for the clarity on this issue. And for those fathers who had to adopt their kids, now there's a pathway that their kids will automatically be Bahamian citizens. And those who are stateless and born legitimately in the Bahamas as far as the parents being straight, I congratulate the Privy Council for making it clear. So now we need to, at least by next week, start to clear up this whole entire issue. Thank you, man.
Well, okay. I don't know if they'd be stateless. They have access to the citizenship of the mother, but yes, now they are seen as Bahamians now. How this is going to work? Is it going to be retroactive? Is it going forward?
Yeah, that ran across my mind.
Yeah.
Does that help those who already, or is this just moving forward?
Well, let's see if this statement from the Attorney General clears that up. This is from Ryan Pinder, just released moments ago. The Attorney General's Council's decision to uphold the judgment in the landmark ruling made by the Supreme Court Chief Justice Ian Winder in the 2020 Shannon Tyrek Roll and 4 others matter. This decision affirms that children born out of wedlock in the Bahamas to biological Bahamian fathers and foreign mothers are citizens of the Bahamas at birth and do not have to wait until they are 18 years old to apply for citizenship. The ruling is an important step towards ensuring equal citizenship rights for all children, irrespective of their parents' marital status. It's expected to impact the lives of many individuals in our country positively. The Attorney General's office will work diligently to ensure the implementation of the Privy Council's decision and to review the existing citizenship legislation in light of this new development. We'd also like to take this opportunity to remind the public that the government remains committed to addressing other citizenship issues, including granting automatic citizenship to children born abroad to married Bahamian women and their foreign husbands. The government will continue its efforts to create a fair and just citizenship framework for all Bahamians. All right. Now, remember, from what we were hearing, with the previous Attorney General, Carl Bethel, and Ryan Pinder suggested the same, that they were doing this just to, not that they disagreed with
but
Justice
to make
Winder's,
sure that it was fully established.
Right, fully clear that everything was properly, and so they just had to argue it out so that in the future, this can't be challenged again. So there we go. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Dwight. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Is there a coincidence that this ruling comes right after the UN plea for us to stop deporting Haitians? This is modern day.
It is absolutely a coincidence. There's nothing to it. Nothing at all. We knew this was coming. They said it was coming. So we were expecting this. We've been waiting every day for it. Just a coincidence.
So can I share my opinion?
Okay, but you're not going to go down that road anymore, right?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
The UN, the world, the international community is deflecting the issue of taking care of Haiti, and the Haitians.
Now, this is not related to this at all, right?
No. Listen to me. Listen, I celebrate the ruling, yes. It's a great day for Bahamians. We always call for, we need a larger population to be the best Bahamas we could be. So, be careful what you ask for. But let's just try to welcome our new born Bahamians into the fold of society the right way. I hope it turns into, but I just find it, some red flags go up.
Why? How? In red flags in that people are having sex without any protection and getting people pregnant without any regard? Is that the red flag? Because that's the only red flag there.
Dwight, I'm not talking about the past and the Haitian women who are being impregnated by Bahamian men. I'm talking about the future where they see the opportunity to come here and now become a Bahamian citizen. So it gives them more incentive to come here.
So are the men being kidnapped and tied down and assaulted? How they? Why would I don't understand what you're saying?
Dwight, you have to, I'm saying.
So the Bahamian men are at risk of being seduced now by every Ford woman who just wants to have a Bahamian baby.
Okay, well, let me ask this question. What is the incentive for Haitians to illegally migrate to the Bahamas? It's for a better life, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if you now can have a better life for your children, which is ultimately what they want, they're more force now. I'm just saying, I mean, it has to be, you know.
So Bahamian men are the weakest species on the entire planet. And we cannot resist. Oh, okay. Well, we're doomed. How have we made it this far already?
I'm not saying it, Dwight. But you know, it's right there. It's on the writings on the wall. I mean, there's a lot. If you know, the statistics are there. You go check the maternity ward. You know, 8 out of 10 women are of Haitian descent. You know, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting the next 30 years to see who's in the cabinet and the ministry and who's running the country.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
I just want to have a moment of silence so everyone can process what was just said. Think about that. And tell me we shouldn't shut the whole thing down right now.
Right.
A moment of silence, though, Laverne, just so everyone can hear it. Just think about that. Think about what he said. That makes sense to anybody? I appreciate you sharing your views, though, sir. I appreciate it. That was quite something. But
it makes you know what? It makes sense. May I finish my thought?
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh my Lord.
It makes sense in the context that the view is protection against babies, against making babies, is the sole responsibility of the female. That is what that says. Because, and that is kind of the feeling you get in this society, that it only lies on the female. Because as you pointed out, Bahamian men being forced to impregnate anyone, not just foreign women, anyone.
Must be.
Are you being forced to impregnate when a woman becomes pregnant the regular way? It takes 2 of you to cause that to happen, and that means that both of you agreed not to take some form of contraceptive, not just her. So, I mean, and because I think that this society looks at the responsibility of protection in that regard, that it's pregnancy. Oh, she told me she was on the pill. Oh, don't matter what she told you. You don't want to make any babies. You don't want to run the risk of making any babies. Then you do what you need to do to protect yourself. But you know what I mean? The bias is that it's really the woman's responsibility. And so that's why I said what I said. Because it just tells you that's how we look at it.
Wild stuff.
Right?
Wild.
Yeah, because if we just saw it as being responsible, then for both partners, male or female, then you wouldn't have that kind of reaction because...
Well, I'm going to start some programs. Bahamian men, don't travel alone. You're in danger now. Oh, God, these women coming for you. Okay. Well,
you
maybe the attorney general.
Woman, you really don't. Maybe we need to say that as they're leaving. You know, as you going through and you're getting ready to leave. Maybe in the airport, Bahamian men, remember, you do not have to impregnate.
Well, this should have come up in that should have been one of the arguments the attorney general made, right? Like, if we do this, our men are gonna be prey.
Poor innocent men who just fall prey. Oh,
these wicked women. Wow. Oi, let's take this call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Laverne.
Hi.
You know, I love to
Morning.
I'd love to have that conversation with Laverne on a different day. In fact, we should have a real conversation on women issue. I come to find out when we talk about the balance of men and women in this country, most people, when you have the true aspect of it, would drown in a teaspoon of thought. It's often just talk. But, Dwight, just on this citizenship issue, it's not uncommon if people understand the way law works, and I know men who scream that DNA should not be required. I'm going to come back to the ruling. But you have to understand what the presumption of marriage laws is, and this is the problem when we have these discussions, we don't have understanding. It's a scary thought because it devolves into other different things. I'm not going to mention it right now. Become one. And so there's a presumption of paternity in marriage, but it's not presumed to be, it's presumed to be outside of marriage, whether in the Bahamas or outside of the Bahamas. And so it's not, and it's normalized, and you can check in common law, or proven paternity. So you can go to court and have an acknowledgement, but are you going to have every child that's born out of marriage then set up a court date to go to court to acknowledge that the court must rule that the child is the one of the son? The problem we have...
You mean retroactively or going forward?
No, I mean, retroactively,
okay.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
So what happens is that, we often look in the media and try to price what DNA costs. If the state begin to sanction DNA, the cost could drop to below $75. And they do this in the state of Florida, where if somebody assert paternity, like say a woman assert paternity, or even a man go to court and assert that they are the child of that father, and the loser pays, meaning whoever finds out not to be the father. If she asserts that I'm the father and it turns out not to be, then she pays the $75 or $80. So that balance can be achieved. But we have to be very careful because simply put, I might begin to sell citizenships because I will just simply go outside. I will go and just stand on. You need a father for that child for citizenship.
Okay.
And I just acknowledge, hey, I'm the father. But when we begin to have a
likely have a whole new industry.
Yes, we have a whole new industry.
Okay.
And right. So
like I said earlier, we got to shut the whole country down. If this is how many people clearly this is a threat. This is how many people think. So we're done. This is
no. That's what I'm saying to you. So this is why you have laws. That you have laws on the books that deals with these things. We understand the Constitution is meant to protect particular rights, but the laws of the Bahamas is where rights are transferred. And I often hear people having a debate. The Constitution say, the Constitution say. The Constitution don't give you any right. It protects it. Okay. But let's go back right
really quickly. We got to go to a break.
Quickly, right? If you go back to number 8, right? And we have to look at the ramifications that this ruling has across the other part of the Constitution. Because if you go to number 8, where the person born outside of the Bahamas should become a citizen at the date of his birth, if at that date his father is a citizen of the Bahamas. And we often imply that outside of the Bahamas, it means that the person must be married so that he can prove it. This has ramifications on that also, because when the explanation down to number 14 comes in, it doesn't happen. Because if you apply this now to number 9 also, it would then conflict with number 8, because it goes to say that about whose mother is a citizen of the Bahamas outside of the Bahamas. And so I know you're running to your news, maybe we'll come back later, but this actually solves every single problem except for the woman married outside of the Bahamas. But then that Constitution comes to the thing with the enshrinement. And so we can instantly put in law tomorrow to fix every issue we have of citizenship in the Bahamas. And then we could come and have an organized discussion concerning enshrining the marriage woman outside of the Bahamas into the Constitution, but we need not convolute it as if it was not possible for the last 50 years. And some of us have been arguing, and I've said I've been arguing since 1986 when my first child was born. And I'm jumping up and down because of all the learned people, QCs, KCs, whatever else, who have told me I'm wrong since 1986. I wish I could see them now.
You've not been wrong, C. Allen. It's just that, again, a law can come, right? Somebody can come and change that law. That's all. And you want to enshrine it.
But Dwight, in fact, that you have to understand, to make that argument, there's a whole bunch of citizen law that could have been changed. I'm saying to you now, this now enshrines 3 of, I think it's the 8 different definitions. I mean, 7 of the 8 different definitions for citizenship. And so we now could have a conversation.
I get what you're saying. Okay. Thanks a lot. We got to go to a break really quickly, and then we got news, and we got a lot to get to on this Thursday morning. We're talking about our king as well in our 8 o'clock hour. You don't want to miss it. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Hey, watch out for these women. They could be trouble. Hey, baby men, we're in danger. Danger.
Raven hair and ruby lips, sparks fly from her fingertips, echoed voices in the night. She
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. And now at 8:24, it's time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. We've got a moisture-starved frontal boundary that's going to sag southwards through the northwest Bahamas with little fanfare. Meanwhile, moisture streaming across the central and southeast Bahamas, along with a surface trough across the area, will keep skies cloudy and shower and thunderstorm chances elevated across the central and southeastern islands. For today, forecast calls for the northwest Bahamas, partly sunny and warm, with the chance of a few isolated showers, becoming fair and mild tonight. For the central and southeastern islands, partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy and warm, with a few isolated showers or thunderstorms possible. Temperatures getting up to around 85 Fahrenheit, 29 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 71 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. In your extended outlook, that frontal boundary will move into the southeast Bahamas and dissipate as high pressure builds across the area into the weekend. So for Friday, tomorrow, look for a mix of sun and clouds and warm conditions with a slight chance of a spotty shower or two, becoming mostly fair and breezy at night. Small craft caution will come into effect by the evening. Saturday, partly sunny, warm and breezy with a chance of a few passing showers, becoming mostly fair and mild at night. Small craft operators should exercise caution. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First. Visit firstonlineinsurance.com and select a Bahamas First agent to purchase, pay, or renew your car or home insurance 100% online, or just stop by any Bahamas First agent. Bahamas First, celebrating 40 years as the first Bahamian general insurance company. What's first for you comes first for us. And And time for a check of traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. Discover mortgage ideas shaped around you. In your real-time traffic, got a number of hot spots to tell you about this morning. Let's begin from the Eastern Road. Heavy traffic from just west of Sans Souci straight up to Johnson Road and even leading into Shirley Street, westbound mainly. And your alternate routes are busy as well. Prince Charles Drive near Elizabeth Estates and at the intersection with Fox Hill, and especially on the way to Beatrice Avenue, looking heavy for you. Prince Charles into Robinson Road, major congestion there just west of Soldier Road on the way to Old Trail. And we're seeing heavy traffic on Bernard Road as well, westbound. Soldier Road north of that intersection with Prince Charles and Robinson Road, heavy traffic there on the way to the junction with Bernard, Wolf, and Village Road. Mackey Street seeing some congestion as you approach, well, from Wolf Road straight up to Shirley Street at various spots there, north and southbound at times. Independence Drive totally backed up westbound between the roundabouts at East Street and Blue Hill Road. Eastbound also busy for you. And Blue Hill and East Street seeing congestion. East Street near Soldier Road and all the way down to Sapodilla Boulevard, mainly northbound. And you're going to have heavy traffic on Blue Hill from Carmichael straight up to that roundabout, Independence Drive, even through to Cordo Avenue and Wolf, and straight through up to Blue Hill and Poinciana Drive. As usual, Mile Butler Highway, heavy traffic from well south of Fire Trail straight up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. The Six-Leg roundabout also seeing issues in multiple directions. And West Bay Street near Saunders Beach, eastbound at the roundabout with New Providence Highway, also busy. Gladstone Road from Fire Trail straight up to JFK Drive this morning, and westbound on Carmichael to Coral Harbor Road. So just all over. Good luck to you out there. But that's real-time traffic in your morning. Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/home story to start your mortgage story today.
Everybody's idea of home is different, so every mortgage should be unique, shaped around you, flexible to move and change as you do. RBC will come to you to get you started and stay by your side to help guide you every step of the way. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/home story and start your story today.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at RBC Caribbean.
Ready to step into the future? From your front door to the backyard and everywhere in between. See and speak to whoever's there with Ring Video doorbells and security cameras at Alive. Protect what matters most, all from one easy app. Available in your Google or Apple Play Store. Visit bealive.com/ring to learn more. We are alive.
People, what you thinking? We want something different. People, what you wanting? We want local government. I can tell them no more slunking. We want to see it function. I can tell them no more joke. I forgot. Going down Blue Hill Road, going down Village Road, going down Nassau Road. We want local government. We want local government. Fix the roads, we want local government. Shed a load, we want local government. We got call for local government.
Sign the petition and find out more information at risebahamas.net.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
The 6th edition of the Bahamas Games are on the way. July 7th through the Island Sporting Competition in the spirit of unity and camaraderie. Which island is gonna win? It's the Bahamas Games. Our nation, our talent, our games. And look out for the B-Games crew coming to your island soon. For more information, call 809-1242 or visit thebahamasgames.org.
Lowe's Pharmacy is celebrating its 70th anniversary in grand style with an anniversary raffle. Spend $70 or more at Harbor Bay, Soldier Road, Palmdale, or Southwest and enter to win lots of amazing prizes like a 2023 Toyota Rush, 7-night Caribbean cruise for two, 2-night stay at Margaritaville, Bahamas, $700 MasterCard, and so much more. Shop and win with Lowe's Pharmacy. Drawing date May 13th.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef, it's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
Total Auto Care on Howard Road offers fast, quality auto maintenance, oil changes, brakes, suspension, wheel alignments, radiators, water pump replacements, and more. Need quality brand name tires for your vehicle? Tires that'll stand up to these roads? No worries. We supply Michelin, BF Goodrich, Bridgestone, Pirelli, and Toyo. We'll import them fast and install them for you at no extra cost. So when your car needs maintenance or quality tires, we're on Howard Road, just before Burger King. Come see us. Total Auto Care. Call us at 341-6599 or 341-2350.
Get ready for the ultimate beach soccer showdown. The Bahamas Football Association presents the 2023 CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championship from May 8th to 14th. Head to the Beach Soccer Stadium beside the Sydney Poitier Bridge and witness the action. Cheer on the Beach Boys as they compete against powerhouses from 11 countries across the region, like Mexico, El Salvador, and the USA. Gather your friends, family, and flags and cheer on our Beach Boys. Admission is absolutely free. For more information, visit bahamasfa.net. Don't miss out on all the action at the 2023 CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championship, May 8th to 14th. See you there.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. And it's a busy Thursday morning. We're going to get back to the breaking news with the Privy Council and their ruling on citizenship a little bit later in the show, probably in business. But we are just 2 days away now from the coronation of Charles III as King of the United Kingdom and of the Bahamas. And we're going to talk about that this morning, getting some different views on this, the coronation, on the monarchy, and having a foreign king for the country, and whether this is, again, especially in our 50th year, the time to reevaluate where we are with this. We have some special guests with us this morning from the Bahamas Reparations Committee. We have Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean. And also we have a friend of ours from Grand Bahama, but she's in Nassau today, right? Sarah Kirkby is joining us as well. Oh, you a royalist? A loyalist?
Yeah, you could call me a royalist.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. And
I'm a transplanted Brit, but I'm Bahamian, so yeah, but still very much a royalist. I would believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. So it's an interesting time, and this is coming as all over the world, countries that were former members of the British Empire, that are members of the Commonwealth are, and that have the British monarch as head of state, are looking and evaluating whether this is something that should be continued in this modern world. So we want to talk about that this morning, and whether this is the appropriate moment, and where we should go from here.
Well, for me, I know I just want to say it's not that is it the appropriate moment, it's what it is. I mean, he's got to be crowned as king. This is part of the what England believes in. They've always had a king. He is, not a ruler in the sense that he makes any decisions. He's a head of state that represents the country. And it is probably the biggest tourism boost for the country and makes them lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also the pomp and circumstance that everyone loves. And that's, a lot of what the Bahamas loves as well. We do love our protocols and our way that we respect people. And this is just part of that. Mm-hmm. And so king, because he was born into it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of following this and the traditions of it. That's what I love. Right. I love the pomp and circumstance. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a total girl when it comes to this. I love the hats and the outfits and all of that and learning the history of it. That's the fun part for me.
Right.
And trying to keep the comments from people about the whole Harry and Meghan, and then you've got the whole thing with Camilla, and that's the part. I mean, that's the part that is fun. The other part is not so fun to talk about. I'll be quite honest with you, Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horrible subject, and so anyway.
Yeah.
There's my 5 cents on that.
All right, so and that's interesting points that you raised because it is a big draw for the United Kingdom, for England, it's important. But what about us? And I know people are fascinated by it and they want to watch it. But what does it say about our identity? Doctor,
I think we should be very proud to be part of the Commonwealth.
Trying to figure out.
The Commonwealth is a huge part of what we are when we are part of this. It's a huge, it gives us a driving force in what we do. It gives us protection as a group together. I know politically you're a force when you're a larger group. England is there to protect us. They were the first people on the ground in Abaco after Dorian. They've always been there for that part. So those are the good things that we have to look at for that part. And I think we should be proud that, we follow the British Constitution, we follow the rule of law, we follow this having respect for our leaders and what we do in that vein.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Naomi Hall-Campbell.
Good morning, Dwight.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Sarah. I think it's really interesting the way that we perceive these issues and our connection to England and this history. Everyone, there's the pomp and circumstance. There's the pretty ceremonies, but there's also what this represents, right? We have there could be no coronation, there could be no pomp and circumstance without the history that undergirds all of the pretty things that we're seeing. And the history is abhorrent. It's ugly. It's entrenched in slavery and colonization and oppression. And I think that we cannot continue to just look at the pretty surface, right? The shiny diamonds that were stolen from other people and be impressed by it without questioning what the reality of all of the shiny things are that we are seeing. And the reality is that the enslavement and the colonization that this monarchy is responsible for has had very negative impacts on the people of the Commonwealth, and in particular, the people of the Bahamas. So when we look at what time is it, we're 50 years independent. The Bahamas National Reparations Committee, a member of the CARICOM Reparations Committee, was formed 10 years ago in 2013. And we are 10 years from 2033. Right, which will be the anniversary of the abolition of slavery. So the time now is for us to say, okay, that's great, that's pretty, but what does that really mean? What is it representing? Why can he be king? And what does it mean for us in the Bahamas to claim him as king, right? Claim him as our head of state. So those are the questions that I think that we need to be asking as we're also enjoying the pageantry.
The pageantry. I get what you're saying, and I understand. And I'll be honest with you, my personal view on the history of the world in general and everything it's done is, there's no pretty history to any country, and there's no pretty history that anyone can ever apologize for the atrocities that were done, except, make sure that they don't go forward going that way. And I think that's changed. I can't tell you what anything to do with reparations because it's not something that I can speak on. It would be wrong for me to do so. It's also, I would be only giving my personal opinion. I cannot speak for the country. I cannot speak for Britain. I can't speak for anything in that vein. But I do understand the thoughts behind it, and I do understand there's no way to apologize that will ever be enough. But it's such a bigger picture, way beyond my pay grade, as you would say, to talk about that. I understand it is a very important subject for a lot of people. I do understand the hatred that some people have. I do understand that some people don't feel that way. But I do respect the monarchy in its current form of what the Queen established and what she did for the Commonwealth and how she was very protected of that. That's the only thing that I can speak on. The bigger subjects that you're talking to, Professor, are not part of what I can answer to. And though I do respect everything you're saying, it's just, for me, I am at this moment looking at it for the pomp and circumstance, but I do, and I love that. And I can't lie about that. That's the fun for me. But I do understand your point. And I think it's with a larger group and with a thought. But I do hope, for me, as a transplanted Bahamian, I love the fact that we're part of the Commonwealth. I think it brings us so much as well. So,
all right.
Well, Dwight, good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Sarah
Good morning.
and Dr. Campbell Dean. You can we not enjoy the pomp and circumstance without having the king as head of state? I mean, we don't need to necessarily have a king as our head of state to be able to look at the pageantry. And I'm only speaking to that portion of it, to look at the pageantry and think, oh, this is exciting, this is nice, or whatever the thoughts are, right? We don't necessarily need to have the king as head of state to appreciate that, do we not?
I completely agree, Laverne, and that this monarchy has been in place for hundreds and hundreds of years. They have a campaign that they have effectively enacted. So it's understandable that we're going to look at them and say, "Ooh," and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that the things that we need to just begin to be questioning are, what does that mean for us, right? What does it mean in the Bahamas is someone that a young Bahamian child can never be. I can never be the Queen of England. A young Bahamian man,
or Queen of the Bahamas,
or Queen, right? Or Queen of the Bahamas,
or King of the Bahamas. If we decide to change things and go that way,
right? But those are the conversations that we need to have.
So we have bigger things to resolve on that point first. We don't even have equality here. But see, the thing, and that's the queen,
and that's what I'm talking about, right? That this heritage has affected the things that we are currently experiencing.
Yeah, and so you do have to wonder sometimes, right? That's an interesting point you just said. We don't have equality in many regards, and you wonder if this system that we have has been fostering that type of thought. Like, you
really think they have so much more equality in the UK? Women have equal rights there. They have birthrights there. We are not following them. If we're supposed to be, we should be they're the ones who are pushing us to be equal.
Right.
It's us that's holding us back. So that's
we're holding on to the old ways.
The old
tradition that they gave us.
Right.
Not moving forward. If we were only moving forward like the UK is, we'd probably be in a better place. But we're stuck in
and look how much we lost
back.
with the Queen. She was our huge female presence for us as women on the world. It was a big loss, I think, for us to lose her. Though, she was white, I get that, but she was a representative, and every large stage, the Queen was there. So it did give us a female version of it. She did try in her way to fight for women's rights and to show that women could do this and could lead a country and still raise a family and do that. And it's something that we need to inspire to. I mean, you've got two beautiful women speaking on this panel today, and look how strong and look how vocal they are and look how bright they are. And why aren't we equal in our own country here? Why don't we not have citizenship rights? I don't get that at all.
You have a long way to go.
So I went off the subject. Sorry.
I want to ask everybody about this. So the research conducted by former Conservative Deputy Chairman Lord Ashcroft, revealing that nearly half of the realms now, the King Charles's realms, including Canada and Australia, would vote to become republics if a referendum were held this week, which is surprising. The Bahamas is on this, and based on the people they polled, and we're wondering who did they talk to, because this is surprising. But they're saying 51% of the people they polled in the Bahamas would want to become a republic versus 27 keeping the monarchy. That seems a bit high for a republic. Every time we talk about it, we get that notion. But what do you make of that? That it's a growing sentiment across the Commonwealth and you can be a republic in the Commonwealth. You don't have to have the British monarch as your head of state. And they've got quite a number of countries in the Commonwealth who don't have the British monarch as head of state. But what does that say? What do you think of that this is a growing movement to explore becoming a republic?
I think that that's the way to go. I think that if they were polling my students at the University of the Bahamas, that they would probably find numbers that are very similar to that. We're at a point in time where people are saying, what is it good for? Right? What is the purpose? How is this helping me? How does this affect the cost of a jitney that's going up? The cost of going into the food store. Like, how does this have a real impact on my lives? And I don't think that people see that it has any great benefit, and so let it go.
Sarah, what are your views on that?
I don't know. I'm a little bit different. I think there's a lot of people that it's a very hard one for me to answer. I'm sorry. I'm in a different situation, right? So I don't feel this way. I've left the British Commonwealth and moved to the Bahamas, and I embrace the country I live in. I live in countries in the entire world. That's the Bahamas. It's a blessing to be here. And I love the connection to my home country, my birth country is really what it is. But I love it because of all of this royal, and I love that part of it. I think it's different, I think it's fun. I think it's unique that we don't have. I think other countries aspire to have this come up. I don't understand, for me personally, and please get this, that it's my opinion. I don't understand why we don't want to be part of this larger group that protects us as a sovereignty, as we're just a small country. So I love that as a bigger, wider group where we have the England, but I also understand the other view. So I don't know. I'm surprised that Canada, though, wants to break away. I thought Trudeau was so passionate about the Queen when he spoke of her and so reverent. I'm surprised Canadians, but again, Now,
breakaway is an interesting word. Not breakaway from the Commonwealth. Not from the Commonwealth. Just no longer have.
Right. But I mean, what is it doing? What is it so bad? What are they doing to us that is so negative to be a part of it?
I think
they're repressing us. We just discussed that they're well ahead of us.
So I'm a psychologist, right? Maybe I should start off with that. So I think that is the role that it plays on the psyche. Right? What does it mean to be a child in a country where you can never aspire to be the head of that? Right? Psychologically, that says that you're good enough to live here, but you're not good enough to lead here. And I think that we see that play out in so many different realms in our culture.
You really feel that them being the head of state because you weren't born into that family?
It's not just that
you can be in charge. You can be prime minister in this country. You could be an MP. You could be whatever you want to be.
But you can't be the head of state. You can't.
Of course you can. Look what Governor General is the head of state.
No.
Is it really?
But the Governor General
you so much that you can't be the head of state.
No. The Governor General,
just normal people that just were born into this. They weren't.
Well, let me
to be part of it.
I think that the Governor General is a representative. The Governor General only represents the king, right? The Governor General himself is not the head of state. He only is a placeholder. So if the actual king was to come, then the governor general would have to move out the way, right? And say, okay, what is it that you want to say?
He's going to come and be
no,
here.
It's
and
about,
head of state doesn't
it's not,
anything.
see, it's not the literal thing. It's what it represents. It's the role that it plays. It's the line throughout our history that has said, you are not permitted to know and be in and of yourself. Someone else has to come and be head of you. And
so
that's what I'm
must
speaking.
Feel the same way. So as British subjects, they must be upset that they can't be head of state of their own country. The prime minister has.
I actually think they should. Actually, I really do think they should. I think it's bizarre. But let me just say it like this. Very, Sarah. For me, I think.
Honest.
Yeah. For me, though, I say, I think it's so strange for a country to have as head of state a foreigner in a different land to be their king, when that same country would not allow.
I understand it said that way.
Would not allow a foreign king or queen. They would living in a different country. They've gone to war many times to prevent that, and I think it's just psychologically insane almost that we do this, and I know I just cannot wrap my mind around it, and everybody sits back.
Sorry, Dwight. Removing the head of state, removing the King of England as the head of state doesn't mean that we're not a part of the Commonwealth.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just we're removing the King of England as the head of state. So,
and King of the Bahamas. Which we gotta say,
whatever you want to say. That even sounds crazy. The King of the Bahamas.
Well, that's what he is.
Whatever.
Put respect on his name.
I get it. I'm just saying, when you say it out loud, it sounds like what? But removing the king as the head of state does not mean that the Bahamas is no longer a part of the Commonwealth, right? And whatever that means and benefits that we may receive from being a part of the Commonwealth remains. It's just that we no longer acknowledge this person as our head of state. So when you look at it from that perspective, I mean, really, what is it? What would really be the issue if we're not saying we're coming out of the Commonwealth? Mm-hmm. We're just saying that the king will no longer be recognized as our head of state.
Well,
so then we won't need a.
Well, that's a whole other show, because it would be
another position. Oh no!
Because now we'll have to decide what type of republic to be, which is going to take forever. Whether we want to appoint presidents
maybe we
or
need
elect
to look
presidents.
At all of that.
Yeah.
Well, then, removing the king as the head of state then means that we have to sit down and then we have to consider and look at what type of republic that we want to be and how we want to kind of craft or chart the way forward.
Absolutely.
There will be things, of course, that we may opted because of the way that we have lived for so long. It doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a complete and total change, but I mean, and it doesn't really, what harm, I guess is my question. If the king is removed as head of state, what harm does it really cause for us? Mm-hmm. We're still a part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's going to take a lot of work to establish what type of republic, and we clearly aren't all going to agree on that. Some would be very happy to be.
Like we don't agree on everything.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be part of the challenge.
As ladies, I'm sure we could agree that we all deserve to have equal rights. So I'm sure that's something we can agree on. I'm sure Dwight wants that too, don't you, Dwight?
Sure, absolutely.
Absolutely.
There we go.
100%. 100%. I think we all will agree on that. But I'm just saying, we're never going to 100% agree on everything for sure.
Mm-hmm. But we all look at it from different perspectives and different views.
Right.
Well, I can tell you this.
And that's the value of having these types of distinctions.
Exactly.
But,
All right, so let me tell you this, though. If it were up to me, if I have to decide between the British monarch and an appointed president picked by the prime minister, let's keep Charles. Because that's a waste of time. No. That's a waste of time to appoint a president. I need to elect the president. I need to elect the president who's going to be the head of state. If we're going to do Trinidad and Barbados, let's not waste our time. God save the king.
Wow.
That's just me there.
Dwight, I thank you for my time, but I really do have
Thank
to
you,
go.
Sarah. I appreciate
I have
you.
an event today.
Yes, I know.
I thank you for the opportunity, and I thank the ladies for their opinions, and I respect them all. And you have to look at it, and I think part of having these discussions, like you said, is looking at everyone's opinion. I look at it from a different view. I look at it from a kid having all about it all with the thing and the pomp and circumstance. That's what I will enjoy on Saturday, but it will make me think about the other comments as well. So I hope everyone has a lovely day. I thank you for this time and opportunity, and we'll see where it goes.
Thank you, Sarah Kirkby. You appreciate it. Appreciate you being a good sport. I know this is a difficult topic, but thank you very much. Always appreciate you.
It is. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
Have a good one.
All right. We've got some calls coming in. Let's take these. Let's hear what you have to say about it. And you can call in as well. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, or toll free 242-300-5720. I'm interested to know what you think about that. An appointed president, Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell Dean.
I mean, I think that all of those would be conversations to have, right? But I think at the heart of it, the conversation or the thing is, how do we get closer to knowing the full reality of ourselves and placing ourselves as Bahamians as the center of analysis, right? As the center of not just the analysis, as the center of our government, as the head, and moving as though we feel capable of that, moving like the sovereign nation that we are, right? And not having this foreign voice come in and have a role.
Perhaps.
I think, Dwight, too, one of the things that was interesting with what Sarah said is, as a kid, she grew up with this. This is, something that they celebrated, that they looked forward to, that was exciting. And so now when she said that, I thought about us as children, as Bahamians growing up. What were we celebrating about us? What were we understanding about us as a people, that we would be able to gain an appreciation for what is possible for us, what we can accomplish, what we can achieve, what we can aspire to, and to be able to look at ourselves and our country in a way where we say that we want to have a say and control, and not necessarily in the back somewhere this savior or this person over us who does not look like us, who has no shared experiences with us, and to be able to just, gain that kind of appreciation, so that when we are celebrating whatever we are celebrating, we have that kind of enthusiasm and joy and pleasure, because it has been ingrained into us to appreciate us and our our pomp and circumstances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. All right, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. I enjoyed the conversation between the two young ladies. Even with the young lady that was speaking just now, her comments, I liked everything she said, because obviously this was a conversation between a colonizer and the colonized. And based on what I heard, my opinion, the colonizer doesn't want to let go of the colonized, and the colonized is trying to find a way out of it. And she stated clear, how could we have someone that is head of state over us that doesn't look like us and doesn't share the same, the same atrocities that we shared, so they wouldn't understand why we would want to get out of that situation. Every time I look at sides of independence, I laugh at it, because we still have a head of state that doesn't look like us and have colonized us for years, and they don't want to let go of it. That's why the other lady that was speaking, she speaks from the terms of her lineage being in dominance, and our lineage being the one that is always in servitude. That's my point on that.
Well, no one's holding us hostage. If we want to go, we can go. They've said as much, right? We're still going to be likely part of the Commonwealth, and that is fine. Most of the countries, it's only, 14 left that have the British monarch as the head of state. Some of the big ones, but many others have their own kings or queens, or have presidents. So it's up to us to decide. This is the time at 50 years to really question it, right?
To have those conversations, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good.
And have those conversations in conjunction with conversations about reparations.
Yes, sir. And like she said, we will never have a head of state that look like us. So I hold on to
if
a
we
head of
continue
state
like this,
that doesn't look like us.
if we continue like this. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Let's get this call in as well. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Pleasant good morning. It's excellent. And to Laverne and to your guests, very pleasant good morning.
Morning.
Dwight, a couple of quick things. Right out of the gate, and I think the lady, a previous guest that left, is to be commended because I'm sure she knew that there was potential smoke and fire. So she's to be commended for that. But right out of the gate, she came with the pomp and circumstance. There's a cost attached to that for us as Bahamians. The Governor General, past Governor Generals, they get paid handsomely. Assigned security details, staff, travel, SIB protection, and all of those other things. Even to just write that down on a piece of paper in black and white. Does it make sense? Fiscally, with some of the economic challenges that we face, to go ahead and continue to bear that burden. That's number one for me. In addition to that, Dwight, I think I think our leaders have been dishonest with us. Remember when a certain a member of parliament and leader of the opposition was removed from his post in the People's House of Assembly? The role that the Governor General would have played in that process, and so many other things as it relates to our governance. It's not just a figurehead position. The Governor General attaches signatures to side. I think we need to have deeper conversation on whether the post is truly ceremonial or not. It doesn't sound that way. Our Prime Minister doesn't have a formal residence, but our Governor General does. And lastly, Dwight, I heard the lady mention about the assistance that was rendered by the British Royal Navy and the British government. And I don't think any compassionate Bahamian with what happened with our fellow citizens in Abaco, the great loss, is going to say that we did not appreciate their assistance. But as loyal subjects and what we pay for as it relates to the Governor General's presence here, there was way more of a presence from the United States of America being on the front line, moving people from USAID and from the federal emergency management systems in the United States. So as loyal subjects, maybe there should have been a little more. But thanks a lot, Mr. Constance.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. And this call before we have to take a break for news. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, I just called a minute ago, but I just want to make a comment based on the first comment that the gentleman just made, which I've seen has been a problem in our country for years. The first comment he made is the compensation that the Governor General gets and all the perks. But that's just one person. What happened to the other 4 people that's in this country? Does the Governor General shit?
Okay, they're all getting a pension.
Yeah.
All of them. All. Okay. Nambi, can you stick around for a few more minutes?
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to take a break for news. We'll be back. This is Morning Blend. Stay with us on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. This is Guardian Radio your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Thursday, May 4th, 2023. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. We've been having a great conversation this morning about the monarchy and the coronation of King Charles III that takes place on Saturday. And we've been asking, is it past time for us to be really evaluating whether this is the way we want to continue or if it's time to have a Bahamian head of state, not a foreign head of state living in a foreign country. So we want to get your reaction to the discussion we've been having this morning. We'll get back later in the show to the breaking news this morning of the Privy Council's ruling on citizenship. Interesting day for this discussion indeed. All right, so we have with us Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean. She's with the Bahamas National Reparations Committee. Earlier we had Sarah Kirkby, who took part in the conversation. She is a royalist and just loves the pomp and pageantry of this type of thing, the coronations, the royal weddings, all of that. So hearing some different perspectives this morning. It's been an interesting discussion. So we've got a lot of your text messages. You can continue to text us, 422-4796, or tweet us at MorningBlend969, and call in as well, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, or toll free, 242-300-5720 if you are on another island other than New Providence. Okay, so let's go to this call here. Good morning, caller, you're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Strachan.
Hi, good morning.
I hope you're doing well.
Yes, indeed.
And welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, listen, I was listening to Sarah Dixon.
Kirkby.
I can't blame her for her remarks that she made.
Mm-hmm.
She has grown up with that, and that's understandable. I also listened to Dr. Campbell, and I understood where she was coming from. But what we are missing is the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's the supreme law. People have a right to their opinions, ideas, suggestions, comments, what have you. I'm not even going to interfere with that. That's a right that they have. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has one article that says the executive authority of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty the Queen. There ain't got no more queen. But we need to amend that article. The thing is that the monarchy has a role to play. I don't consider the monarchy to be foreign. The monarchy is a part of our constitutional system. Mm-hmm. However, if the Bahamian people are interested in changing that particular article, they can do so. And it can only be changed by a referendum. What we have is the administration that we have today isn't interested in any referendum. Mm. They want to do things differently. Now, I heard some comment made about women who are married to foreign men having children outside the Bahamas. The Constitution is very specific on that. Article 6, the only difficulty I had with it is what is the interpretation of the word parent? If parent means father, mother, either one of them, fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's constitutional. But it was taken to the Privy Council. The Privy Council made a ruling. That's fine. When it comes to being a republic, that's another kettle of fish again. You cannot change that by no legislation in the House of Assembly. It has to be taken. That's hardcore in your Constitution. When you have an administration that tries to undermine the Constitution, that's a real problem. Because the Constitution is very specific about foreign males or Bahamian women who have married foreign males and have children. The Constitution is very specific about that. And I heard a comment that they're going to take that to the Privy Council. Fine. But the thing is that we have to learn to respect, one, a referendum by the Bahamian people, and number two, we also ought to respect a ruling from the Privy Council. The referendum ruling is final, lock, stock, and barrel. The ruling from the Privy Council is also final. I don't have a problem with either of them. The ruling that came out with the Article 6. But there are some peculiarities in our Constitution where we're going to have to look at very seriously as we move forward in this country, because we have to protect the interests of the country. As it stands now, there are some things in there that need to be changed. Do not wait until trouble breaks out. Then you realize you got a problem.
Yeah.
Because it's looming right in front of your face, Dwight. Right there. So we have to be sensible and recognize that the way how the Constitution is structured right now, we have to make certain changes. But the Bahamian people have to be thoroughly, completely educated as to what the Constitution says,
Indeed.
one, and number two, what are the proposed changes to be made to that most valuable document. That's what we have to do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We do. This is time to really take a critical look at it and see these things for the next 50 years for this country. All right, so we've got a lot of your text messages. You can continue to call in. This person says here, initially we didn't need student visas to go to the university, in England. Now we do. We could have applied for a working holiday visa, but now we can't. Okay, sure. Anyway, and they go on to say Spain allows for former colonies to apply for citizenship against the citizens there, right? England doesn't, so there are no benefits, they're saying. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? It's like you've what like again, like I said, what are the benefits? What are we getting out of it? How is this relationship mutually beneficial? It seemed as if the Commonwealth was something that the Queen was very fond of. Does Charles hold that same admiration or same fondness for the Commonwealth? What does it even mean to him now?
Yeah. This text here, that's something different. Okay, we'll get back to that. This one says here, many countries have kings, but they are king of their own territory or state.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This one says here, get these people talking nonsense off the radio. Get these people off the radio talking nonsense against the British monarchy. Bahamians don't care about this. Colonial bashing does not rewrite or change history and our existence under the British monarchy. Tell Dr. Hall that she needs to keep her analogy to herself, stop trying to create sentiment. I don't know what they're talking about there. Do you know what they're talking about? No,
I'm not sure.
I'm confused.
Very confusing.
Who are the people who are talking nonsense? Maybe that wasn't for us. I'm just going to say
we
that.
were bashing?
Bashing the colonial.
Right.
See,
so that's why I know it's not for us.
Yeah, it's not bashing. It's saying, like, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
If telling the truth of what happens feels like bashing, then it's time for us to examine what that truth is, right? If you tell someone the truth of what they did and they're like, why are you bashing you? I'm saying this is what happened.
I think that, when the truth makes people uncomfortable, they don't necessarily want to hear it. And, you can very well choose to live in a bubble where you don't talk about these things because they're uncomfortable. You don't want to hear these things. And, if you want to live in that bubble, I mean, that's your choice, but it happened. But pretending or not talking about it doesn't erase the fact that it does happen, and not to to a certain extent, how we see ourselves, how we interact with each other, how we view ourselves as Bahamians, as Black people, has a lot to do with being enslaved.
Mm-hmm. This text here, it seems as though your guest didn't have an issue with the Queen, a woman, being head of state, but now find an issue with a man being head of state. Kindly tell your guest that British people cannot be head of state either, and they're born in the UK. Dr. Campbell Dean is misguided. All right, well, I can let you respond to that, but we know that is not the case, and we've had
a problem with
right.
the
You were on the show before, calling for reparations when Elizabeth II was still alive, and so this is not a new thing. It's nothing to do with man or woman. You all just love to make it a man or woman thing, but no, not the case. And I said it earlier, Texter. Yeah, it's ridiculous that only that one family can produce the heir to the crown.
But at least that family is British. Right? At least that family is British.
But if they're happy with that over there, then they have no path. And even if they marry into it, they will be treated like, right? That's their business. But for another country, like if I declare myself king of the Bahamas, you all will have me institutionalized. And you know that, right?
We laugh. And we
laugh? I will laugh. You won't hear from me again.
No way.
But one day,
Delusions of
one day, King Dwight. Anyway, this person says here, love this lady. She's very intelligent. Well, there's been 3 of them, so I guess they mean all 3 of you. Okay. Another text here. It is ridiculous to downplay the power of symbolism in retaining a monarch as head of state of an independent Bahamas. Britain gained and retained power abroad for centuries based on the power of that symbolism. Great show as usual, Dwight. Could I be your first president? As your first president, it's illegal to put mayonnaise in conch salad and raisins in coleslaw. Well, I hope, Mr. President or Mrs. President, that you would have bigger issues.
Even more reasons why Abaco would leave. Right?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
They gotta get that mayonnaise.
My goodness.
Can we not talk about that?
No, not today.
Can we not?
We'll do a whole other show on that one.
We have to.
Yeah. I want to try it. Never tried it.
And we need.
Have you tried it? Mayonnaise and
Dr. Campbell Dean.
Is it good?
The psychological impact of putting mayonnaise in conch salad.
All right.
What is the psychological impact? I need you to explain that.
She says it's good.
It's a thing. Well, I can't eat conch salad. We need another show.
You can't eat conch salad?
I can't.
But you, the other.
Oh, no.
Anyway, we'll have you back for that.
So
let's stay focused. We're talking about our king.
We got distracted.
Our king, Charles III.
So easily.
Focus on the king. This person says we must not go in blindly or emotive and ensure that we do not end up with a local monarch where only certain families can ascend or be considered for head of state positions. No, you wouldn't want that. That sounds horrific, right?
Yeah.
We need to get more so the fine print is not missed. Everyone is given a fair chance and no one is being hoodwinked.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it is about just alerting us as to the reality of what happened, right? And how that impacts what we do in our nation now. I think one of the things I also want to note is that, my raging against the machine is not just something that we in the Bahamas are doing, but that later today there's going to be a joint press statement with 12 other Commonwealth nations calling for King Charles to recognize the genocide, the stealing of artifacts and not releasing them to the people that they actually belong to, right? Calling on this monarchy to really acknowledge the atrocities that have happened and use this time as this coronation as a marker to say things are going to be different.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this off air. There's so many articles now, documentaries even about the role that the British royal family played or the benefits they received directly from slavery. And so that's coming to light
And so many other things, right? Like the transatlantic slave trade is just one piece that doesn't even address what happened in Kenya, what happened in India. It's a lot.
Wow. This person's asking, do we pay to be a part of the Commonwealth? We do. We do indeed. Out if you are delinquent in your fees. I think the last time I looked a few months ago, everybody was paid up. But you do pay to be a part of the Commonwealth. So, what does that mean? And are you expecting more now that you know that?
And does what we pay equal what we get, right? These protections that we are supposedly getting as being a part or a member. And do we pay do we pay as much as Canada pays? Right? Is it
should be based on the population size?
Yeah, is there a scale? Do they get more benefits because they pay more?
That's very interesting.
How does that work?
I got to look that one up. I think it's equal, but that would. But if they pay more, will they have more of a say?
Yeah.
Although nobody really has a say. It's just like an association, right?
Or
it's
more
just,
protection.
It's just like
I was just
Rotary.
about
No offense to Rotary.
Dwight. I was just about to ask you a say in what?
Right, because it's just like a friendly association for the most part.
It's like an associate. It really is.
Yeah.
That's stuff.
But we love it, sure. This person says, as a person of African descent born in England to West Indian parents, I find it hilarious that it is more acceptable to call myself because of place of birth when the owners of Harrods try so hard and paid so much for British citizenship and still can't get it. Okay, well, that's interesting. This person says, I've been saying for years that we need to focus on that Governor General post. They claim it's ceremonial for convenience and because they put puppets there who maintain status quo. But if any Governor General decided one day to dissolve Parliament just because the wife ain't make his tea, what? Who can stop him?
Why is it always a woman? Why is it
Don't you see?
a woman that caused
the women are destroying the world? They're going to cause Bahamian men to become prostitutes now that the Privy Council's ruled.
But I get the point. I get the point.
Yeah. I would almost like to see a Governor General try, but that Governor General will disappear within moments.
Quickly.
Trust. Yeah. But okay. They could do it though. They absolutely could, but it won't end pretty. Let's take this call really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Oh, hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
This is John Canoe II. Listening in, wanted to chime in.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
To the Honorable Madam Chair. I think you're doing a great job. And even responding so gracefully, right? But for me, I won't respond as gracefully, and in my book, I talk about this Anglophilia, this irrational love of all things English or British in this case, and the problem is we have always been taught that colonization is in fact a good thing. So from the days of Woodes Rogers, who was an avid, disgusting, racist slave trader, who was our first governor, this is portrayed as a good thing, and him ending piracy, even though the proverbial days of piracy were better for blacks in the Bahamas. People like Blackbeard had 6 quartermasters who were runaway slaves, So there's this huge deception on the minds of Bahamians. I will bet you that everybody who calling in and talking about people bashing, colonial bashing and all this foolishness, all of them have Scottish, Welsh, and British last name. We've even been deceived into thinking that we are descendant from our slave masters. And just to throw some empirical data out there, I won't take long, but it's important to note that these British colonists who were here, they imported about 3 times more African captives and enslaved them in the Bahamas than even came over with them during those loyalist migrations. You understand? And we have been duped into thinking that colonization, slavery, all of these things in the Bahamas was in fact a good thing, right? About our sovereignty, displaying all of these disgusting levels of Haitian xenophobia, when in fact we don't have a problem with a Governor General who is the ultimate violation of our sovereignty. And then we explain it away as if they are only ceremonial And they have all sorts of powers. You go in any government building, the governor general picture is above the prime minister who was voted in by the people, right? And last and certainly not least, I think that we, from the very beginning, should have become a republic or something thereabouts. This notion and this belief in Commonwealth is a complete myth, and it's just addition to this centuries-old propaganda that colonization was a good thing. And it's to the point where we have been completely removed from our Africanness, to the point where we have a Carifta Games and we have to display our culture and we got to show a nativity scene. And what we have done is adopted all of the sentiments and ideas of our slave masters. You know, we are a Christian country, you know, and Christian dogma supersedes all things. And you could see it being exuded in some of the people that are calling right now. And the sad part is, you know how aggressive this colonial mindset was through our educational system that is still failing us, by the way, and was established by the British to subjugate us and de-Africanize us, plain and simple. And I'll end with a simple analogy. For all these people who have a problem with us accepting our Africanness and not calling it is what it is, you know, if in a pig pen, and those two dogs have babies, are they piglets or are they puppies? They still puppies, right? And it don't matter how much those dogs squeal and oink and roll around in the mud. At the end of the day, they might love their pig pen, but they still puppies, and they will grow up to be dogs. And those pigs will see them as such. So we need to get out of there. You know, it actually has me in a bad mood when we get involved with all of this pomp and pageantry, and people just don't even want to acknowledge all of the atrocities, the genocide, as the doctor so not eloquently, but tell the truth about it, you know, and it's extremely frustrating for those that know. And it's you notice that most people that study history, they share these similar sentiments. And looking at it from a psychological point of view, we are still in this perpetual acute survival mode. And unfortunately, it manifests in the Bahamas into this not only self-hate, but this irrational love for the British, which we call and is known as Anglophilia. So I'll hang up.
Don't go yet, Chris. I just want this text here. I want to get your response to this.
Yeah, no
problem. This person says, if we don't have the courage to become a republic, then we need to stop whining and complaining about the monarchy. Here is why this is a disingenuous conversation. It is the British government, not the monarchy, that have the British in slavery.
Well, see, this is another thing where I think Dr. Hall was elaborating on too. When people make statements like that, I share the sentiment to a degree, because I share the sentiment that we should not be a part of the Commonwealth, have no monarchy, no governor general, paying them no pension, none of that. Just off of the principle and other uplifting our ancestors, but that's for another day. But the problem with that statement is we often forget what is actually happening and what continues to happen. Yes, we have a choice in doing these things, but when you fight colonization, when you fight these systems, when you do not conform to global ideals, it is not that simple. And we live in a world when black leaders take a certain step, they can kill you, plain and simple. You know, and this is the reality for all Africans, man, woman, you know, all on the sexual spectrum and all of that, you know. And our Africanness is what is most evident about us. So you can't hide your Africanness, and that is what needs to be paramount to the whole African diaspora. But in the Bahamas, we've missed the ball on that. And so I would say to that text that we often lose sight of what is actually going on. It isn't like we just out here free on our own and making decisions on our own will and our own volition. You know, you have U.S. imperialism, British imperialism, and the vestiges of colonization, and all of these people that bully you. That is say too much and take up too much time, you know, but there's so many things that we see as a low-hanging fruit that is being prevented. Another thing would be the Bahamas going green, which seems like a no-brainer. But we buying diesel from somebody, right? And that's millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, you think they're willing to part with that millions and millions of dollars? And we know the type of companies that they are. But the bigger problem is they mashing up the Niger Delta right now. You understand? Where most of us come from. Upwards of 50% of us actually come from, and we don't even care. But if something happened in Greece right now, every Greek Bahamian can cry. But all now things happen in Africa, and we don't even care. Because we've been convinced that puppy is born in a pig pen and we pigs.
Wow.
Right.
Deep stuff. Christopher Davis, John Qua, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Madasi.
Thank you. There you go.
We're going to have you again, again through your book, and so we have to have you on very soon to discuss more of this. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. Some text messages here. This person says here, good morning to you, Dwight, and your guest. Stop disrespecting our Abaco culture with us adding mayonnaise in our conch salad. Try it, and you'll have yours no other way after this. I'm willing to try it. I know. Mayonnaise on fries is way better than ketchup on fries.
No, Dwight, what are you saying?
Have you tried it? This one, mayonnaise.
I'm going to need you to really, Dr. Caroline, I'm going to need you to really have a private session with Dwight.
Well, I'm going to blow your mind. Mayonnaise on homemade bread, better than butter. Any day. Any day. Even coconut.
You might actually be British for real.
What?
You are
How dare you? How dare you? Okay.
We need to stay on top of this.
Yes, let's do this.
I'm finding out things about you that are making me very uncomfortable and causing me to see you in a different light.
Okay.
I agree with Vern.
Oh, boy. No way, is a texter, no way in all of my 60 years have I heard we pay to be part of the Commonwealth. Why? I know of taxes to corporations, but direct payments? Please elaborate. Okay, I'll pull it up for you. Give me a moment. But let's get to the other messages. This one says the Governor General only makes decisions on the advice of the Prime Minister, so he can't try anything stupid. He has no real power under a Constitution. I mean, if there is a crisis, all right, the Governor General can do some things. It'll have to be an extreme situation, but he does have the authority to do that.
On paper, yep.
Yeah. Nobody's ever tried it. We don't think we've ever had a crisis of that magnitude, but if there is chaos in the government, God forbid, and we don't know who really is running the thing, the Governor General can do some things, but yeah. This person says here, oh, good Lord, what? Back to mayonnaise. Everyone's obsessed. You've got to focus, folks. We've got a real issue here we need to talk about.
This is how we get distracted.
Right, exactly.
We want to distract the Bahamian, talk about food.
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dwight. Good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
To your co-host.
Hi.
Dwight, it always amazed me, like people who call about the Constitution have never read it. And never understand. For some who read it have never understood it. They read sections of it. They understand that when you begin to omit and take things out of the alteration of the Constitution, then the Constitution itself doesn't become the document because they all stand upon each other. But when we start talking about the monarchy and changing to a republic and everything else, the Constitution has some enshrined protection within the Constitution. I have to go review this, but I want you to consider this concept. The protection of the Constitution, I think, is the number 54 of the Constitution. All these things within the Constitution is protected from alteration, except for the part that provides the protection. Meaning that you can just strike down number 54, change everything, and then reinstate 54.
Okay. All right.
So I'm saying is that the point in that is, if Bahamians want, we can have it. We don't need consent of anyone, whether we do it through referendum, in Parliament, or the means by which they give us. The problem is that we have a leadership who, like your previous caller said, is indoctrinated in colonialism. They don't know nothing else. They can't exist outside of it, just like they can't exist in digital. And they will fight to protect the environment for which they're in. You talk about the dogs in the pig pen. Go try and move them out and see what the dogs are supposed to do to you.
Oh, boy.
In spite of the fact that they don't think they're pigs, and that's the problem we have. But we are moving to the point where the people now in the Bahamas don't know Pharaoh. And so this is the time for the conversation to actually happen and rethink and redesign the Bahamas we want.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning. Are you there? Okay, no. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, toll free 242-300-5720. Okay, so you definitely are paying. I was looking for, I don't know, I can tell you what New Zealand New Zealand pays. New Zealand says they're paying the Commonwealth Secretariat, I don't know how old this is, $3 million a year. Secretariat and $191,000 for the Commonwealth Foundation, another $1.5 million to the Commonwealth Fund for Technical Cooperation, $750,000 towards the Commonwealth Small States Office. Well, I'm going to look it up, but we definitely are paying. It is a requirement. If you fall behind your dues, you can get kicked out of the Commonwealth. I think I read that Zimbabwe had previously. Is that right? Remember they did a lot of stuff in Zimbabwe, but they have been kicked out, and people falling behind, and you get back in. But it is a thing. You pay to be a member of this club. You do pay. Mm-hmm. Let's take this call before we wrap up the segment. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm listening to you, and you may agree or disagree with me with certain things. But I understand what you guys are saying, the referendum and everything. But unless the people are able to understand, they're not going to get it. Okay? Now, when it comes to slavery, I wasn't born in the era where someone would call me a nigger. So if someone was to do that to me, it'd have no effect on me. But I would know how it feels to be black and someone to look at me in a certain manner. Okay? Now, when the gentleman talked about, the puppies in the pig pen, the puppies in the pig pen, they don't know. Because, believe it or not, we don't know. We know, but we don't want to accept the truth. Our problem in this country is we don't want to accept the truth. I love to tell my husband, I said, watch our babies. I said, they're only like 3, but they have common sense, but they don't know things. You don't have knowledge. You have to grow into knowledge. I said, but they do know right from wrong. I said, because before they do something, they're going to peep to see where mommy or daddy is. Everyone knows right from wrong. That's built in us. And our problem in this country is we don't like to accept the truth. And that's it. As much as you guys talking about us being in charge of ourselves, because I don't know why Bahamians thinks we are independent, because we're not. But Bahamians are not ready to be independent. I hate to say it. Just because of the manner how we carry ourselves and how we treat one another.
Well, why do you think we're not independent?
We're not independent because we still pay dues. We don't make our own rules. We can't make our own rules because if we want permission for something, where do we have to go? Constitution or not, where do we have to go? Where do we have to go?
I don't think that's accurate, though. It depends. It depends on a lot of things.
No, it doesn't depend because...
Give me an example of that.
Okay, hold on. Now, in my home, you can't touch that. No referendum, no going to Privy Council because it's me. I'm in charge. We are not in charge of our country.
No, but we picked the Privy Council. We have decided that we want them to be the final court. That wasn't foisted upon us. We decided that.
Okay, so tell me, why is the Governor General here? Who does he represent, and why does he represent him?
He represents the King of the Bahamas.
Okay, and if the King of the Bahamas, how do we get independent if we still bow down to the King?
That's what you decided to do upon independence. You wanted to keep. So, I mean, but that was a decision you made.
Again, we didn't make that decision.
No, we did. We made that decision.
Do you think the Bahamas is independent, sir?
It is an independent country. Now, we have kept some colonial trappings, but we decided to do that. Nobody made us do that. And if we are tired of it or want to be free of that, we have to come together and decide that with a referendum, but we have to do that as a people.
Okay, and I understand what you're saying. Okay, we choose. Again, I love how you said choose.
But I think you're proving the point that we've been making, though, right? The fact that we still have those things lingering over us proves that it is bad for us as an to question whether we truly are, after 50 years, independent. Why do you still have the Privy Council? Why do you still have a British king or queen? And so even the people are saying this is ceremonial or you elected to have the Privy Council, others are saying, well, why can't you make these decisions on your own? So we're all on the same page. I get where you're going. We are independent, but we did this to ourselves.
And perception. right? How do we perceive ourselves as a country? Do we perceive ourselves as being
is a wonderful
independent?
thing, ma'am, and you're totally correct. Perception, because one thing I can tell, what I perceive in this country as being a Bahamian woman, Bahamians, we're never going to be number one in our own country. You guys may disagree with me, but I'm only telling you what perception shows me. Because being in this country, even though I went to school and I became educated, I can tell you one thing. I am never going to be number one because I can watch persons who has nothing to do with my country, who do not pay dues like I pay dues, even though a lot of people think we don't pay dues. We do pay dues as Bahamians. We're never going to have the upper hand. And again, it's because of us, and it's because of choice. Keep the people ignorant and divided. And as long as people we hide ourselves, we run from the truth. And I listen to you guys. And I wasn't going to call in, but when I heard that gentleman spoke, I was like, why don't we just admit that, number one, we're not independent. Number two, we are the reason why we are in this state now. Have a good morning, guys.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
I mean, I think when you talk about that we hide from the truth, I think that, as Chris kind of alluded to or made plain, rather, there was a systematic effort to keep us from the truth, right? It's one thing to say that you're 50 years independent, but when we became independent, our leaders were not educated as to, okay, here's what it means to be a Bahamian, right? They all went to school abroad. They were all entrenched in the system of colonization. We didn't have people who were like, this is what it means to be a Bahamian. This is what it means to be an African. We were all entrenched in this system of saying, the truth of who you are is something that you don't really need to know. Okay, go build a country. And so when we say we run from the truth, I don't think, I guess is that is not endemic to us as being Bahamians, right? That's not a pathology that we have because we are Bahamians. This is a part of the legacy of enslavement and colonization that we have inherited.
Yeah. Many people are pointing to the irony of this discussion that we're having as Charles is about to be coronated. Yeah. But with the fact that the ruling has come down on citizenship from Privy Council, many saying, look at this, we can't even interpret our own laws. Sometimes you do need somebody on the outside to add some clarity to a situation, right? Maybe, but that says a lot. And again, we were talking about this. It seemed pretty simple to most of us. I think most of us, if either parent, how much clearer can you get than that, right? But yet, other articles in the Constitution clouding that clarity there. But we have a long way to go. And this is going to be a long conversation. And we know other countries in the region seem to be a lot further along. Jamaica making it clear that they are ready to move away from this. Barbados has already done it. Trinidad and Guyana there. But that conversation is going to be very difficult, I suspect, for a lot of people. And the way forward, deciding on what path we're going to take, is going to be easy just to have the Prime Minister appoint the Governor General. President, right? That would be an easy thing to do, but it wouldn't change much at all. And when you talk about electing a president, you're changing everything. And so this is going to be a lot of work and a long journey, but a sign of us maturing and becoming a truly independent nation, blazing our own path forward.
And having the conversation is a big part of that, right? No matter where you fall on the spectrum, your perspective of what you think we should do, that we have to begin to have the conversation so that we can make these decisions and have conversations that are based in the truth of what happened, right? The reality on both sides of what has actually occurred. And so, I would just like to encourage everyone out there to engage. Follow the Bahamas National Reparations Committee on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. As we have different events, come out, have those conversations with us. See what we're talking about when we say reparations. Are we just a bunch of angry Bahamians that want money and things? Or is this reparations movement about justice so that we can push forward in this agenda of the reality of who we are as Bahamians?
Yeah. All right, we're running out of time, and we need to take a break. Let me just read these very quickly. This person says here, what about the child born outside the Bahamas? This is going back to the ruling, I guess, to a Bahamian man and a foreign woman. That wasn't decided here. So we'll see what the government does. We'll see what they say. Will this guide them? Perhaps if you can if provide the DNA evidence, will it make a difference? Fast tracking you to citizenship as opposed to waiting 18 years. I don't know. But this is what the Attorney General has been telling us. They won't make any decisions until the Privy Council ruling, and that happened today. So we will see. We will see where it goes from there. And others asking about married Bahamian women and with foreign husbands who have children abroad. Well, the Attorney General has already said they're going to deal with that. And so we wait to see what comes out of it. So there's going to be a lot of changes coming in this regard.
Yeah. I hope I hope it's done retroactively. I mean, because there's so many people that are affected by this now.
Yeah. This is a long one here. I denounce slavery and its atrocities. I'm indifferent, however, on us retaining the British monarch as head of state. I'm confident, though, that I do not trust past and current political leaders to do what's in the best interest of the Bahamian people and our country. We need an overseer of sorts, yikes, like Britain and or America, oh boy, to protect us from ourselves. Wow. Also, it's unwise to want to remove the current system with absolutely no idea on what and how we will replace it with. What I hear are empty barrels.
We had an overseer, and now we chose to become independent.
The last part I agree with entirely. We do need to have that sorted out. What will it be? What type of republic will it be? Right? You can't just declare that without sorting that part out. And that could mean an entire restructuring of everything we do, which might not be a bad thing. Great examples all over the world of how republics work. They're not all one way. There are many different ones. There are ones with elected presidents and prime ministers. There are ones with selected presidents. One with only presidents, no prime ministers. Right. So you could do a lot. We have to decide which one is best for us. Boy, okay, so this was a very wide-ranging conversation, but Dr. Naomi Hall Campbell-Dean, thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Dwight, and that session about the mayonnaise on the fries at any time.
To try it?
Free of charge.
Good.
I will guide you.
Because you've tried it before, though.
Out of it.
What do you mean? What?
An abomination.
No, you can only say that if you haven't tried it. Boy. And Laverne, I know you don't think that way. Come on.
I absolutely think that way.
You all have been.
I'm
you
just
all haven't been living.
Still stunned because the texter said we need an overseer. But onto the fries, so that still just has me stumped. But getting to the fries and mayo situation, it's okay, Dwight. This is your cry for help, and we're gonna help you.
Well, I can get you on board with the mayo on everything before the forward overseer.
No.
I guarantee you, we'll come to agreement on that one being more palatable than the foreign overseer.
Dwight, I'm gonna have to rethink my relationship with you.
Don't knock it till you try it. Don't knock it till you try it.
You've left me shocked.
I'm telling you. Try it on bread. Get some homemade bread today. Get some homemade bread today and put some good quality mayonnaise on that. Especially if it's warm just out of the oven. Spectacular.
You know what? It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Indeed, Laverne. Thank you. Good morning.
Morning Blend Business brought to you in part by Seafowl, growing wealth for future generations. Pick up today's Guardian business section for the latest in business news. And before we go, just letting you know that some exciting things happening with the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. They're inviting you to their Power Breakfast featuring Minister of Labor and Immigration, Keith Bell. That's Thursday, May 11th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Margaritaville Beach Resort. For more information, contact the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce at 322-2145 or log on to thebahamaschamber.com to register. Once again, on behalf of Laverne Gardner, I'm Dwight Strachan. Have a great day, everybody. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.